everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Sorry for not uploading anything sooner, but I was just really out of ideas until I actually watched She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, which was very surprising because I'm actually a little skeptical when it comes to Western animated shows. Of course, when I'm talking about Western animation, I'm referring mostly to TV shows, so productions that have a lower budget and some sort of limitations. I'm definitely not speaking about Disney animation here, or like big, theater released movies in general, because those I highly appreciate. I feel like sometimes TV shows just fall behind a little, especially in Western animation compared to Japanese animation. But boy, I have to say, when I watched She-Ra, when I started watching it, I was not expecting such a good story at all, and we're gonna get into that in this video because I will be talking about the show and what I liked about it, while also showing you guys a time-lapse replay of the drawing I made of Catra. So for this drawing, I'm gonna be showing you guys what brushes I used, so that you kind of know what's going on here while I talk about She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. So the brushes I used are part of the Max Pack Gouache brush set by Max Packs, and I will be leaving a link in the description down below for that. And here we go. So I first used the Max U 600 series pencil for the initial sketch, and then I went on to use the Max U Gouache grainy brush for the hair and details, because it really makes this very nice stroke that just fades a little at the end into this grainy pattern that I really like. And I also use this for details, so the clean lines in this drawing are just a smaller version of the same brush basically. And for the soft shading, I used the Max U Gouache Bristol Gritty brush, which I found out if used in a circular motion, it just makes this very nice and soft shading, so I absolutely love it for shading. Okay, so let's jump into my comments about She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. Alrighty, so first of all, the beginning of the story is so interesting to me, showing just how comfortable and accustomed Adora and Catra are to the horde environment. It was just interesting because it made you feel accustomed to this environment that they were growing up in, and it was showing this glimpse of normal life that these two characters are living inside of a place that is the source of fright and danger for everybody else on Etheria. And when it comes to the first split in the TV show where Adora splits from Catra, I was just interested in how Catra responded to that by saying that she knew that they were being manipulated into thinking that they were the good guys, defeating the princesses and all of that. I guess the feeling of betrayal that Catra experienced because of her best friend leaving her and the place they called home for all of these years was just so overwhelming that her stubborn nature made her stick to the bad guys ultimately, because she wasn't ready to jump into this new reality, and she wanted to hold on somehow, I think, to the home that she knew and lived in with Adora growing up. So, from the flashbacks of their childhood, we can clearly see that Catra was always this black sheep, even in the horde, and Adora always stayed by her side. And somehow I assumed that going back to the horde without the support of her best friend must have been terrifying for Catra, but she took those negative emotions and turned them into determination, quickly moving up the ranks and establishing power in an attempt to, overshadow the longing for her friend. That's what I took from it, honestly. But enough about, let's say, the beginning. What I also loved so much about this show was how the queer characters were integrated into the story in such a beautiful and natural way. From Bo's dads to Spinnerella and Natasha, and of course Scorpia. And I'm just saying, her crush on Catra was so cute and heartwarming, and her whole character is just so genuine that every time she appeared on screen, I literally had to smile. But yeah, the list doesn't just end there. We also have Double Trouble, who is a non-binary character. So very interesting, as I had never seen a non-binary character in a show before, or at least I can't remember if I have. But yeah. And then of course we have Adora and Catra's attraction to each other that slowly builds up to their well-deserved happy ending. Spoiler alert. Oh yeah, by the way, spoilers are gonna be inside of this video, so if you don't want any spoilers, please stop here or mute the video and just enjoy the time-lapse video of my drawing. Going on, I identify as a bisexual woman and often feel like the representation of queer people is based on stereotypes that just make shows hard to watch, if not super cringe. And She-Ra doesn't rely on stereotypes to build a great story. It relies on the humanity and the realness of its characters, no matter what they look like or what they identify as. And a lot of times we see representation that just feels forced into the story. But not in She-Ra. This show succeeds at everything from representing different body types, sexualities, and this struggle between good and evil that doesn't just fall into this classical black and white kind of scenario. So the good guys are not just good guys, they also have moments of weakness where they consider doing things that might not be canonically good. And then we also have the old teammates of Adora, for example, that are supposed to be, on the side of the bad guys, but we can see the humanity in them, and their individual struggles with the reality they live in. I mean, even Hordak has some moments where you genuinely can't help but like him. For example, in those interactions with Entrapta, I actually developed a little bit of a soft spot for him. So yeah, going back to the story, a part that shocked me was, and I know it shocked a lot of you guys probably, I don't know, or maybe it didn't, maybe I'm alone in this, but the part that really shocked me was when it was revealed that She-Ra was this key to the heart of Etheria, meant to unlock the destructive power in order to destroy the entire universe. And it was just a bit mind-blowing, and I think that Adora's struggle with this revelation was so well written. I could really feel her pain and this temporary loss of hope that she went through, and her journey towards becoming the savior of Etheria, despite all of these odds playing against her, was just mesmerizing to watch. And I don't know, it felt very real and not rushed at all. Her magic sword didn't just magically fix everything, or Swiftwind didn't just randomly turn out to be some deity that could fix everything. That kind of stuff that all too often happens with magical girl shows. I mean, could you consider She-Ra a magical girl show? I mean, yeah, she has her transformation sequence and everything, so I guess, yeah, it's a fantasy magical girl show, I would say. So yeah, I like how they didn't just reveal that and then rushed to fixing everything. We actually saw her struggling with this revelation and trying to find a way to fix everything. But it wasn't just something that happened immediately and out of nowhere. Now, since we are drawing Catra here, since I'm drawing this fierce cat lady, I want to speak a little bit more about her. And I just have to say, I loved Catra from day one. And I always had a weak spot for the darker, struggling characters. There's just something about them that resonates with me. And Catra started out as this cheeky friend that doesn't really play by the strict rules of the Horde, and then slowly and progressively turns into Hordak's right-hand man, struggling, with her love for Adora and hiding it under a huge pile of hatred and frustration that leads her to this power hunger that is really just a desperate attempt to escape her feelings for her best friend. And her progressive descent into darkness, ultimately resulting into almost destroying Etheria in the name of the Horde, was just so painful to watch. And that's why, seeing her getting back to her friend in the last season was just the biggest relief ever. And I just loved her character's arc so much. It was well written. As I said before, it didn't feel rushed, and, in conclusion, I think that the 5th season was executed wonderfully. The whole show was executed wonderfully. The struggles of slowly reuniting everybody in the 5th season in order to save Etheria was just like such a well-written arc. And every character had their own arc, nobody was sort of left behind. And that was kind of my biggest fear with She-Ra, because in a show with so many characters, a lot of times it is easier to just solely concentrate on the main character rather than all of the others as well. But this show literally thought about everybody until the very end, giving us a happy ending that doesn't leave anybody feeling empty or unsatisfied. I only have one big question that this show left me with that I'm not as satisfied with as I want to be, which is why? Why did the first ones want to destroy the universe? It really doesn't make sense to me, since they seem to be a rather pacific civilization, concentrating on using and understanding magic with the help of technology. So, if they created She-Ra, this big beacon of hope, why make her the key to destroying the universe? That doesn't really scream hope to me. So I would have liked to know a little more about the first ones and the reasons behind, creating this whole machine-like system that zaps onto the heart of Etheria and makes the whole planet become a weapon of mass destruction, basically. I would have loved a little more, background on that whole story. But overall, I love this show so much, and I hope there's another season. But bear with me, I'm not a die-hard fan, so I don't know all of the scoops about the show. So maybe 5th season was really the last season, and that would be sad, but at the same time, as I said, it didn't leave me feeling like, I'm not happy with this ending. So I would be okay if it was the last season, honestly, but I would also love to see more, and I just really, really love this show. So yeah, that's the video for today, and I hope you liked to see the drawing process of my Catra. And if you like this video, please consider subscribing and liking it or leaving a comment. I really appreciate all of you for taking your time to watch this, and I wish you all a wonderful day. Bye!